Hey, it's Neoneski with Worshipiana Tutorials, and this year in 2020, I really want to post a lot more chatty videos, just like where I'm talking about certain topics. So I'll have like a playlist for all my tutorials and a playlist for all these like different worship and Jesus topics. So if you have any like topic ideas, I already actually have some requested, but if you have any topic ideas of what you would like to just discuss, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And today I want to talk about what it means to worship in spirit and in truth. And this has been a thing that I read in the Word over and over again, like back in the day, and we hear this, verse a lot, like those who worship in spirit and truth, and we're just like, yes, worship in spirit and truth. But when it comes down to it, what does that really mean? And I'm by no means some crazy Bible scholar, but I did read through the entire Bible, and I love Jesus and I love his word. And if, I want you to listen to a discerning heart as well, and just let me know if your take on it. But this is what the Holy Spirit kind of revealed to me as far as worshiping in spirit and truth. And that is, I'm really practical, so I'm just gonna go get down to the practical piece of it. But honestly, we as people, sometimes we're not perfect. Just kidding. We're never perfect. But anyways, sometimes, we do these little mistakes, or like we get upset or we get irritated, or, we all have these little things about us. And then when we come to God in worship, it's actually, it's hard to fully worship when you feel undeserving. Like if that day, let's say you had some irritation and you had some issues, and then you come to God, but all you're thinking about is like, Lord, like, I'm so sorry. Today was like, let's say you're praying to the Lord, and you're like, I'm so sorry, or I didn't read the word for an entire week, or I didn't pray and I didn't talk to you for an entire week. I feel so bad. And you're just kind of like, but Lord, you're holy and you're great and you're so good to me. Let's say that's just the regular scenario that we see or that we feel and experience in our lives, is when we don't feel like we measure up, we do not feel like we're enough, and we come to Jesus in worship, but it's like we're putting who we are over what Jesus did, and we're claiming that, and we're saying that's more important, or we're saying like, sorry Lord, but you're worthy and you're always good to me, and thank you for always being with me, and we're trying to like worship, but because we're not worshiping in spirit and in truth, it doesn't go too deep. It turns out to be kind of like a casual, just like a prayer, and you still feel kind of guilty afterwards. I don't know. If you've experienced this, please tell me yes in the comments, so that I can like know that I'm actually addressing an issue that's actually real. But so far, like the group of friends that I'm surrounded by, like we talked about this, and it's so real in so many people's lives. And this is the second scenario that I'm gonna say, and this is, in my opinion, what it means to worship in spirit and truth. So when you come to Jesus and worship, and instead of saying like, oh, I did this and I did that, you're coming in a sense of like, what is the truth? The truth is that Jesus died on the cross, and he completely set you free from all sin, and now God looks at you as he's looking through Jesus. So Jesus is the firstborn of many, and we are pure. Like if you look at Colossians, I think it's chapter 1 or chapter 3, where it says, he has now made us pure, blameless, above reproach. That is now our identity, and that is the truth. That's the spiritual truth. Like your spirit, man, is pure. It's blameless. It's above reproach. So no matter what your soul was going through that day, or like what physical things you went through, the spirit is pure, blameless, and above reproach. And so when you come to God in worship, and instead of looking at what you have done or ways that you didn't measure up, just thank him for what he's done in your spirit. And the truth about that is that you are pure and you're blameless and you're above reproach. And even though you never measure up, he still loves you. He's still right there with you. And he's just, his love is so great for you. Like it's huge. It's massive. And just like realizing this, that like, yes, you're imperfect. Yes, you do things. And this is not to qualify sin and say you can go sin at all. Okay? I'm just saying that like, when you realize who you are in God, it changes you, that you do not want to be irritated anymore. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop being like envious, or you stop being irritated. You start getting those fruits of the Spirit in you because you worship in spirit and in truth. So like, because you're constantly, whenever you're worshiping, you're like, Lord, this is the truth. You've made me pure, blameless, above reproach. This is who I am. Thank you. You're so holy. You're so worthy for changing my life inside out. And when you're saying that, you start to live that out. Like, it's crazy, but that's how it is. And I know a lot of people say that, like, when you focus so much that God forgave you, you start sinning. That is not true. Like, being saved is a change of mindset, is because you start renewing your mind to how Jesus made your spirit. So your spirit is pure. You start renewing your mind becomes pure. And then your mind is how you act and behave. Anyway, so that is the topic. That's how I see it. So scenario 1 was like when you're trying to worship, but you're still so in the carnal world. You're putting your carnal flesh over what Jesus has done for you. But when you're worshiping in spirit and truth, you're pretty much putting God's sacrifice above and at the top priority of what you do carnally. And when you stay there, you start to think like that, and you start developing the fruits of the Spirit. And it's the worship and adoration that you have for Jesus once you see this is like, I don't know. There's no word to describe it. When you get alone with God and you're like, Lord, you changed my life because now I see that I am pure, blameless, and above reproach. When you start experiencing that with Him, you get such a bigger revelation of the cross than you've ever had before. And worship just becomes such a natural thing. Like, either whether you're singing or there's no music involved, or you're parenting or you're driving, like, when you see that goodness towards you, and you know that carnally you don't measure up to that goodness, but you know that that goodness is top priority and it's higher than who you are, it's amazing. I hope I explained that right. Yeah, essentially what we're doing when we say that we don't measure up is we're saying, Lord, I'm more important than your word because I didn't read the Bible for a week, and so now I feel bad. It's like, no, your word is higher above all else, and I will believe that I am pure, blameless, and above reproach. Anyway, so that's my little chat about worshiping in spirit and truth, and I hope that really helped you. If you are so in love with Jesus and you want to play piano and just worship Him and not be distracted by what you're playing, not be distracted by songs, and you want to learn how to like just sing out your own words as spontaneous worship to the Lord, check out pianoministrycourse.com. I teach a ton about this, like spending time with the Lord, and as well as other things regarding to piano ministry. So that's it. I'll see you in my next free tutorial. Bye.